Welcome to the video. So in this quick video, I really wanted to go over and discuss some of the announcement for games during the Summer Games Fest that I'm really looking forward to, especially because what we saw this year was very promising. First of all, let's discuss 007 First Light. I just got into the James Bond franchise recently. In fact, I made a video documenting my experiences watching all 25 James Bond films for the first time, so if that interests you, then feel free to check that video out. I think what excites me the most about this game is the fact that it's being made by IO Interactive, the Hitman developers. Hitman is one of my all-time favorite gaming franchises, and I'm very excited for their James Bond game because I feel like they're the perfect developer for this franchise. It's a match made in heaven, like Rocksteady with Batman or Insomniac with Spider-Man. I'm very excited for this, and I'm really hoping that this is going to be as good as I'm expecting it to be. And while we're on the subject of James Bond, I also really love that we're getting a limited time event in Hitman World of Assassination where we get to take down Le Chiffre, who's being reprised by Mads Mikkelsen in a high-stakes poker game, just like Casino Royale. This is such a cool idea. I really love this idea. I decided to play it actually after the showcase ended, right before filming this video, and I really enjoyed it. There were a lot of really fun callbacks to the movie, in particular Le Chiffre's tales and the fact that he poisons Agent 47 just like he did to Bond. I'm also enjoyed the callback to Blood Money when Agent 47 mentioned that names of her friends. Overall, this was a really cool event for Hitman, and I'm very hyped for the new Bond game. Another game I'm very excited for is Resident Evil Requiem. I am a massive Resident Evil fan. I've even made a couple videos about the Resident Evil CGI films on this channel, so again, if that sounds like a video you'd be interested in, then feel free to check that out. The protagonist of the next Resident Evil game looks to be none other than a woman named Grace Ashcroft, a name that immediately caught my attention as she appears to be the daughter of none other than Alyssa Ashcroft, a reporter from Resident Evil Outbreak. I'm interested in learning more about Grace in the future. However, what really caught my attention when it came to this game is the fact that that we're returning to Raccoon City. There's a tiny bit of a cynical side to me that can't help but think, oh, that's a super convenient way for Capcom to save on resources, but the fanboy side of me is still extremely excited at the idea of being able to explore Raccoon City after the outbreak, after the bomb, and seeing what remains of it all these years later. It reminds me a lot of the Raccoon City Police Department map from Umbrella Corps, that game. As much as that game kinda sucks, I always thought the post-bombed Raccoon City Police Station was such an awesome idea for a map. I hope this means we get cameos from either Leon or Jill, kinda like how at the end of Resident Evil 7 we got a cameo from Chris. I guess that remains to be seen. I'm also curious on whether or not this game is going to be in first or third person, or maybe a bit of both. I guess that remains to be seen. Also, at the end of Resident Evil 8, no spoilers, but there was a bit of foreshadowing for what the next Resident Evil game could be about, but I don't know if it has anything to do with what we're seeing here, so I'm wondering if that whole subplot with Chris Redfield and the BSAA is going to be continued in this game or not. Moving on, I have to say that if there's one thing about this showcase I never expected to see, it's that we're getting a Code Vein 2. I really enjoyed the original Code Vein. I never got around to finishing it, but I'm definitely going to try and do that now that the sequel has been announced. But honestly, I never expected this game to ever get a sequel. It seems like it was quite niche in the Soulsborne genre, and not a lot of people were really paying attention to it, but hell, I'm really glad that we're getting a sequel, and this game is definitely on my radar. Now, before I wrap up this video, I wanted to take a moment to briefly cover some honorable mentions that caught my eye, but I don't really have a whole lot to say on, which is why they don't have a dedicated section in this video. For starters, Game of Thrones War for Westeros. I've only ever seen the first season of Game of Thrones. I never got into the rest of the series, unfortunately. However, the fact that this is a real-time strategy game has really piqued my interest. I think an RTS game in this franchise is such a great idea, and I really hope it turns out great. Mortal Shell 2 also caught my attention. I only ever got the chance to play a little bit of the original Mortal Shell, but from what little I can remember of it, I remember thinking it was kinda cool. I like the combat we've seen so far in the sequel. It looks very grimdark and brutal. Its vibe is just really cool. Especially the enemy designs. Those in particular look fantastic. Next up, the new Onimusha game. Honestly, I don't know anything about this franchise, but the combat mechanics definitely caught my attention, and I've heard so many people sing the praises of all the other Onimusha games, so I might have to keep my eye on this one. Another game I'm looking forward to is Death Stranding 2. I loved the original Death Stranding, but unfortunately a lot of people really trashed that game and misunderstood it when it initially released. I'm glad that a lot more people have come around to it as the years have gone on, and I'm really keen on seeing where the story goes in the sequel. I'm also very intrigued by the character of Neil, who feels a lot like a callback to Solid Snake. Actually, he feels like a very obvious callback to Solid Snake with the bandana and the cigarettes. I'm also excited to hear that a portion of this game will take place in Australia. Judging from what I've heard a lot of people say online, that really appeals to me because I'm Australian and we don't really get a lot of AAA games set in Australia. Anyway, that's about it for my thoughts on Summer Games Fest. This video was a bit more on the brief and shorter side, but I just wanted to cover all of the games I'm looking forward to, and this event left me feeling very optimistic and eager to learn more about a lot of these games that I want to play. In particular, I'd have to say the two games in the showcase I'm most looking forward to is, well, obviously Resident Evil and also the 007 game. I'm really looking forward to playing a James Bond game. It's very hard to play James Bond games nowadays, older ones, because they are either stuck on old hardware and consoles that I do not own, or they are just delisted from all digital PC storefronts. So I'm really looking forward to finally playing a James Bond game. And not only that, but a James Bond game from one of my favorite developers who have made one of my favorite franchises. I definitely have high hopes for it. And of course, Resident Evil, I've just been really excited to learn more about Resident Evil 9 for so long. Just what is it about, who are the characters, what is the setting, and yeah, the Raccoon City setting post-bomb, post-outbreak, that is definitely a very, very intriguing premise. So, what about you? What are your thoughts on the showcase? Whatever they are, feel free to comment down below. If you're interested in seeing more from me, I cover a lot of movies, shows, games, and other pop culture that I enjoy on this channel. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, feel free to subscribe or check out more of my work on my channel. But with all that being said, thank you so much for checking out my video, and hopefully I'll see you again in the next one.